For Kurt Busch, it's a two-weekend clean sweep of the Charlotte Motor Speedway. First, the All-Star race, now the longest race of the season. The Coke 600 trophy belongs to Kurt Busch and the number 2 team after a dominating performance. Only 7 drivers have made this sweep, winning the All-Star race and the Coke 600, and now Kurt Busch's name is among that very elite 7. Welcome, everyone, to NASCAR Victory Lane, fueled by Sunoco, coming to you from the world epicenter of stock car racing, the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm John Roberts, he's Kenny Wallace, he is Kyle Petty, and a very happy crew chief, Steve Addington, gets congratulations all around after a job well done. And you know what, there was only one 100-mile mark that Kurt Busch wasn't leading, but it was a guy named Busch that was leading at every 100-mile marker interval, but the dominating performance was turned in by the number 2 team.
Well, I think the one thing that's really exciting was Kurt Busch got all of Charlotte Motor Speedway's money. Got the All-Star money, $1 million. Kyle, what do you think this baby pays, the Coke 600? A couple, 300, 400 grand? I think this guy you're looking at right now, Kurt Busch, made $1 million, maybe $300,000-400,000 in 1.5, 2 weeks. That's pretty good money, Kyle.
That's incredible. When you look at the laps that he led tonight, when you look at the laps that he led last week in the first 50 laps of the race, and then in the last 10 laps of the race, he's probably led 85 or 90% of the laps run here in the last couple of weeks. And I don't think anybody expected that out of Kurt Busch and out of the Penske team coming here.
And you know something else that was really wild is in the All-Star race 1 week ago, that's a preview of this race. It came down to the same 2 people that were dominating the All-Star race. In the All-Star race, it was that man right there, Kurt Busch, and Jamie McMurray around segment 2 or 3 of the All-Star race. It comes down to the same thing here for the Coke 600. That does not happen very many times.
Yeah, but you know what amazes me more than anything else is all year long, this is the halfway point in the first 26 races. What amazes me is all we've talked about is Hendricks and Gibbs, Hendricks and Gibbs, Hendricks and Gibbs. We come here, all we talk about is Penske Ganassi, Penske Ganassi for 2 weeks. So maybe there's a little bit of a shift in the power structure.
And today was a great day for all of racing, and I'm sure Roger Penske is happy to say touche to Ganassi. Ganassi wins the Indy 500. Penske wins the Coke 600. What a great day for some great car owners, Chip Ganassi and Roger Penske.
It's one of the biggest days in motorsports because you got 500 miles at Indy, 600 miles at the stock car capital of the world. So it's a big day in racing all around. And it's only fitting that on Indy 500 day we have a Penske car and a Ganassi car doing battle. And here comes the Penske driver, Kurt Busch, climbing out of the number 2 Dodge, and it's time to celebrate.
And you know what? It's really nice to see him win because his brother, Kyle, has been winning everything. It's nice to see the old man at, what, 30, 32 years old?
Yeah.
Still has it.
Yeah, you know what's good? You know, when he went to Roush, he won and he won and he won. And he came over here and he struggled. He struggled, and he'll tell you he struggled. Had good races, had bad races, and now all of a sudden they seem to have hit their stride. Steve Addington has got this team on track, and I think you heard it in the conversations, or you'll hear it in the conversations between the driver and the crew chief. A lot of confidence, a lot of respect, and that's what that team needed to boost themselves.
And one thing I like about what you just said, Kyle, is you say, why is Kurt Busch winning so good? Well, what Kyle said, Steve Addington, his crew chief, come from Joe Gibbs Racing. Joe Gibbs Racing, I mean, they've been running really good. So the crew chief for Kurt Busch brings knowledge, brings the setup that has been going into Denny Hamlin's car, Joey Logano's car, and Kyle Busch's. So that man right there, I agree, Kyle Petty, I think he's really helped this team.
And Steve Addington also brings a calmness to a driver that is kind of known for being fiery and getting upset during the middle of a race. And Steve Addington has a talent and an ability to keep him calm and settled down, especially over the course of a 600-mile race.
It always helps to have a tall crew chief. Buddy Parrott was a good crew chief. He was real tall. Sometimes they're an authoritative figure. You have a tall crew chief like Mike Helton's our president of NASCAR. It's like, hey, boy, you better listen to me. Okay, so, yeah, I agree.
All right, now, as you can imagine, after 600 miles of racing, somebody is going to have a little bit of a bent temper afterwards. Let's take a look at the final restart and watch the number 31 car of Jeff Burton and the 18 of Kyle Busch. Now, Kyle would end up having a great finish in this one, finishing P3. Different story for Jeff Burton as he gets shoved up the racetrack, and he is not too happy with Kyle Busch. Another look at the restart. Kyle tries to make it 3 wide, no room. And let's hear what Kyle had to say afterwards.
Apparently he was mad and upset about how the restart went there, and unfortunately, his teammate made it 3 wide on me, and I pinched him as low as I could pinch him, and Burton didn't give me any room. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I guess we touched, and he was upset that I raced him real hard and whatever. He said I didn't show him any respect. So if he can go back to the tapes and come up to me and tell me what I could have done different in that scenario, boy, I'd be happy to listen.
I'll tell you what, Kyle Busch certainly maturing as a driver.
All right, so that's Kyle afterwards. Jeff Burton is saying, man, use your head, please. And you see Coach Gibbs in the background there as well. So, you know what? That's raw emotion after a NASCAR race, after a long NASCAR race, and you expect to see that.
I'm excited because now we have another, what do we call this?
We have controversy.
We have more controversy, and the common denominator is Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is involved in all of them. Now it's Kyle and Jeff Burton. So here we go.
Or just Kyle against the rest of the field.
Yeah, and maybe it is. It used to be Earnhardt against the field. So okay, now but you know, you watch that one shot where they start. Jeff could have given him a little bit more room. Let's be honest about that. But when you're in that car, don't ever second guess. I'm not going to sit here and second guess any driver. Jeff's trying to keep him low. Kyle's trying to go high. You know, I don't know for sure whether it cut Kyle or cut Jeff's left or rear, or he just thought it was cut. But it basically took him out of the race. And what I saw in that confrontation, as much as anything else, is Jeff Burton still has the fire to win races. I don't care if he's 40. I don't care if he's 36. I don't care if he's 50. Jeff Burton's going to win some races because he's got a car that can, and he still has the fire to win.
And he's been very close so far this year. Probably just a matter of time before we see the 31 in Victory Lane. But still to come on this edition of NASCAR Victory Lane, fueled by Sunoco. We'll hear from the winner, and we'll also take you through all 600 miles tonight at Charlotte.
NASCAR Victory Lane is fueled by Sunoco, the official fuel of NASCAR. Put the fuel of NASCAR in your car. Brought to you in part by Honey Nut Cheerios. Be happy, be healthy. And by Tornadoes. Bold is how we roll.
Welcome back, everyone. This little friendly gamesmanship here by Jamie McMurray. Pouring a little Coke on Kurt Busch after his dominating victory. Jamie was up there a good part of this race and battling Kurt door to door in a classic duel here in NASCAR's longest race, the Coke 600. Let's take you back a long time ago. 400 laps, 600 miles as the green flag waved. Ryan Newman had the pole, his 6th pole for this race, and that put him in some very exclusive company. And Kurt Busch started outside of row number 1, and it didn't take long for us to figure out who the dominating drivers were going to be in this long race.
It was hot around 6:30, 7 o'clock. As you said, the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman, takes the lead, but not long. Here comes number 2, Kurt Busch taking lead. Kyle, he dominated this race.
In the sun, at dusk, and in the night, he dominated the whole way. And this is funny because as you watch this race and as we watch the highlights, you'll see guys at the front right along in here that you never see the rest of the night because they went away when the racetrack. You see Juan, car just gets away from him right there.
One of the fastest cars all weekend long. Juan Pablo just didn't have much to show for it afterwards. He gets loose, goes for a spin, and a bad ending to the evening early for Juan Pablo Montoya.
He was saying on his radio, I'm pushing, I'm loose. He didn't have any idea what the car was doing and just couldn't keep control.
Here we go to our first restart of the day, and it was the 11 of Denny Hamlin, the 2 of Kurt Busch leading the way. And let's not forget about David Reutimann, the defending champion of this race, trying to get up front as well, and he spent a lot of time there.
Once again, Kurt Busch takes the lead. You're thinking, boy, Denny Hamlin looks good. And the number 56 of Martin Truex, you figure he's going to come into play. But it was the 0 of David Reutimann who finishes 5th. This is a great battle right here. 39 of Ryan Newman. And, whoops, hey, I'm Kyle Busch, I'm coming through, get out of my way.
Perhaps Kyle made another friend.
Yeah, made another friend, right. But you know, I tell you what, he rolled in on the 39. The 39 car didn't quite accelerate the way Kyle wanted him to. So it's like, okay, my turn.
The 47 car, driven by Marcus Ambrose, had a long, wild night. This was the first of several spins, as he does a great job to keep it off the wall, but seriously smokes up the tires.
And we have a little teaser. This is nothing. He doesn't hit nothing. Stay tuned later on in the show here, Victory Lane. He brings out the last caution. We'll show you that.
This should not surprise you. The number 48 of Jimmy Johnson coming up to take the lead at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he does it.
Yeah, I think the 48 leading at Charlotte shouldn't surprise anything. Later on, you'll see a highlight that should surprise you for the 48 car.
I will
but right
say
now,
this.
when the sun was out, these guys were good.
That 48, I seen him wiggling his tail, though. I knew there was trouble.
All right, a hard battle going on here between the Busch brothers. They both wanted to spend some time up front, and they've been known to race each other hard, especially here.
Kyle, you know what amazed me? This was so early in the race. and they wouldn't give up. Neither one of these brothers would give up.
Now, this because they're brothers, dude. You're your brother. You know that. You look at the 18, dead sideways coming out of the corner, and he never checks up. I mean, he's still in the gas. That's Kyle Busch right there.
All right, he takes that and pushes it up to the lead and takes it away from Jimmy Johnson.
I mean, these are the two fastest cars in the last 3 years. The 18, the 48, these are the two cars that when we say, hey, green, white, checkered, maybe 3 laps to go, fastest cars. But look who's checking on the outside. Here comes Kurt Busch again on the outside of both of them.
Now, just how fast was Kurt Busch? He was putting cars a lap down, 30 laps in. But let's take a look at some interesting twists and turns here as the 48 of Jimmy Johnson gets a little loose, hits the wall, and it was Denny Hamlin who also suffered in that.
Yeah, and I think Denny probably made an overly aggressive, move to try to get out of the way. But at the same time, that 48 hit the wall so hard, Denny didn't know whether he was going to come back. You see him, he slaps, boom, it pops right there. He didn't know whether he's got a flat. Denny makes a left turn right here, tears the valence off his car, and basically ruins the night for Denny Hamlin right there.
So here comes the work for the crew inside the pits as they go to work on the number 48. And again, this team has been known for poise under pressure and being able to fix a wrecked up race car. Oh, bang.
The 18, this is what really ruined the start of Kyle Busch's night. He comes in, knocks the right front off. That's Brad Keselowski. Now we've got trouble because he says it knocked my toe in out. His steering wheel was off-centered. So we just don't have cosmetic damage. We have chassis damage underneath the race car.
So that doesn't look good at this point for Kyle Busch, but we remind you that is Kyle behind the wheel of that car, and he will battle back.
And that rod you see laying on the ground, that is to check the toe in. So that tells you right there that he knocked his front end out. But, Kyle Petty, I think that he was going to challenge for the win until that happened.
Yeah, I think no matter what the racetrack did, now he's got a totally different car than what you start to race. And for you guys out there, it doesn't seem like much when we talk about knocking the toe in out, but it's the difference in being comfortable floating that thing off into the corner and knowing where that steering wheel is and knowing where those tires were. And he had to relearn the car.
So let's think about what happened in that one incident there. You had the accident in between Denny Hamlin and Jimmy Johnson on the racetrack, and then you go into the pits and you have Kyle Busch having damage. Those are 3 very strong race cars in one fell swoop.
Very good point, JR. That one incident on pit road changed the whole complexion. That was a very big highlight because you take the 48 out, he hits the right rear spoiler, knocks it over. The 18 gets into the 12 of Brad Keselowski. The 11 knocks his left front valence off. Kyle Petty, we knocked 3 cars almost out of the race in one little deal.
Yeah, three potential winners are basically knocked to the sideline. But let's be clear. At this point in time, not many of them had challenged the 2 car for the lead. The 2 car was still the car to beat.
And so just think about it this way. We still have 300 miles of racing left to go. When we left you there, it was 300 miles halfway in. We still have 300 miles in. Our winner, Kurt Busch, will come up to talk to us next. Stick around, everybody. Much more coming your way from Charlotte Motor Speedway and NASCAR Victory Lane. The celebration continues here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the number 2 team as they have taken a lot of money and a lot of hardware out of this place over the last couple of weekends. Let's pick up the highlights with the second half of the race. It is NASCAR's longest race, and we still have 300 miles to go. Now, this would be interesting if Clint Boyer could win this race because there have only been 2 guys that have won on their birthday, one Cale Yarborough, one Kyle Busch, and it was a potential of Clint Boyer making it 3 tonight, the birthday boy.
There was about 100 laps where Clint was really challenging for the lead. He ends up finishing 7th tonight, but this was really nice. And it was nice. I was hoping he could win on his birthday.
And another nice thing was the fact that David Reutimann ran really well throughout this race. He was a defending race winner.
Yeah, and that's impressive. To come back and he won a rain-shortened race, and everybody's like, well, that's rain-shortened. I don't care. He was in the lead when they dropped the checkered flag, and he came back and backed up that performance here today.
Another guy whose finish is not indicative of where he ran was Greg Biffle. Spent a lot of time up front, and here he goes battling with a 24.
But Greg Biffle is the perfect example of how a racetrack changes and how a team works on a car. He was 28th for the first 100 or 150 laps of this race, and then all of a sudden he's a top 5 car as the sun goes down.
Let's go back to last week when Jimmy Johnson in the All-Star race goes for a spin. You don't see this very often, but it's important to show this because it has kind of been a little bit of a trend tonight.
He has got away with it. Look here we go. This is tonight. Loses it all by himself. Kyle,
Bam.
We see it every week for the last
hit.
3-4 years. He drives such a loose car.
Yeah, he can drive a really loose car, but everybody watching at home, I hope you TiVo this and show it to your kids in another 20 years, because there'll only be a handful of these ever, because he just doesn't make mistakes. But this car, he drives so loose, and he had already had damage. So let's say that, right off the bat. You look at the back of the car, he'd already been in an incident and knocked the rear end out from under it just about. So, you're just hanging on sometimes at that point.
And you know what? The numerical order was not right. See, the 2 was leading, so the 1 went ahead of him. So this is
So it'd be 1-2.
1-2. How many times do you see that in our sport?
And that was an impressive move. We don't have the real shot of that. Jamie fought him. Those guys had a good race for 4 or 5 laps.
That doesn't look good on the side of Robbie Gordon's number 7.
Robbie got in the wall in turns 1 and 2, brought out a caution, and 2 right side flat tires and a banged up. And he was rim riding all night long on the high side.
Here's some of the great pit work we were talking about for these crews all night long. Now, let's remember it's hot for them, too, and it's a long race for them as well. And crew chief Steve Addington gave, big-time kudos to his team as they got Kurt off pit road and got out in front of the 1.
Yeah, and that's how close it was. That was the difference because, like Kurt said, he needed to be on the outside.
And this was the time of the night where you also seen the 17 come out of nowhere. It turns night, and now here comes Matt Kenseth. He's new in the picture. And, of course, Reutimann is still there in 4th position.
Let's go inside the car with Tony Stewart and take a look at what happens to the Biff as you see the 16 up ahead. Whoa, just gets loose, finds the outside wall.
And that's a good shot because you see how a car breaks loose and then loads back on the left side and takes off to the right. That was a lot harder hit than what it looked like.
This was a classic, long battle between 2 of the better cars of the night. Chip Ganassi says, okay, I already won the Indy 500. Now I want the Coke 600. And go get it for me, Jamie.
But this is what causes Jamie McMurray to lose the race. It was this right here. There he is. Marcus Ambrose loses it. And at this time, Jamie McMurray has a big lead. Jamie McMurray was going to win until that happened.
Everybody goes for 2 tires here. Take a look at how fast they get this done.
And never fast enough. You know why? He comes out comes out in the 5th spot. Now, here's these red wheels we've been talking about. They come off.
Yellow one's on.
Those are Sam Hornish's wheels to get his stagger right on the car.
Go. Now, Jeff Burton probably had a shot, maybe, at a very good finish in one, unless, much less a win at this thing. So here goes Jeff Burton after getting his 2 tires, and here's the restart that caused a little bit of controversy.
You see right in the picture there the blue car. That is Kyle Busch. He gets into Jeff Burton. But here's the show, Kyle. The 2 car takes the lead.
The 24 and the 5 did not pit for tires. The 2 and the 1 took right sides only. And this was Kurt's big deal. Kurt jumped around that 24 incredibly fast and got away from him before Jamie could make it up. And this was the 2nd interval, and it was a 2nd for the last 14 laps or so.
Here we come, baby. We're coming to the checkers. Just hold a steady wheel. Look at the lead these 2 got, and there we are to finish.
No denying Kurt Busch tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway as the crew celebrates a 2-weekend sweep, a whole lot of money, and now Kurt's really going to do some damage to those tires afterwards in a classic burnout. And you get the Coke bottle-shaped confetti coming over Kurt Busch. He gets another victory, and he has got momentum on his side right now as we are halfway to the 26 race cutoff. Let's take a look at the results. It's number 2 car finishing number 1, number 1 car finishing in the 2nd spot.
I think I'm most impressed by 2 people on the screen. David Reutimann is back by popular demand, but look at there, Kyle Petty. Richard Petty Motorsports in 8th spot, Paul Menard.
Paul Menard was so consistent the first part of the year. Matt had a little trouble on that last restart and ended up finishing 10th, but Matt had a top 5 car the last 100 laps of the race.
Casey Kane has won this race before. He finished in the 12th spot. Another great run by Joey Logano and A.J. Allmendinger. Those guys steadily improved. And Tony Stewart came from running way back in the pack for a top 15.
And it's really nice to see Sam Hornish not spin out and get a 17th place finish.
Good run for Elliott Sadler. He has the record for pole qualifying here at this racetrack, but a 21st effort. That brought him back up from the pack. Same deal with Dale Earnhardt Jr. picked up steadily throughout the night.
Yeah, and you look at Martin Truex and you look at Jeff Burton. Some of those guys, they run a lot better than that, okay? They just had issues that really relegated them to those positions late in the race.
Isn't it just incredible to see Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, 27th spot, still in the game?
And there is Marcus Ambrose, a tough night for him. Kevin Conway drove that number 34 car, very sick tonight, but hung in and got it done for a 35 finish. And then Sauter McDowell and Dave Blaney round out your finishers. You know, we are celebrating, actually, points first before we celebrate 10 years of racing on Fox. Back to that in a moment. But it's Harvick now, Kyle Busch, Kenseth, Jeff Gordon was able to move up 2 spots to take the 4th spot.
Hey, it'll be really easy for Kevin Harvick to remember his point lead all week long because it's his car number. 29-point lead over Kyle Busch. I noticed the very serious things, you know.
And Jimmy Johnson dropped 3 spots. That is pretty serious as well. And as we mentioned just a moment ago, we are celebrating 10 years of racing on the Fox network. So let's hear from the guys who called their final race of this season, led by Mike Joy.
JR, this race had a lot of different storylines. It had the Busch brothers going forward. It had the dust-ups on pit road. Denny Hamlin in the grass trying to miss Jimmy Johnson. And a lot of the usual suspects weren't at the top of the leaderboard tonight. I guess the question would become, and we should have known it from watching the Indy 500, would it be a Penske Dodge or a Ganassi Chevrolet going to victory lane?
I love the end of this race. I mean, you could see it. It's set up perfectly for Kurt Busch. He had a short-run car. About 20, 25 laps, he could check out on the 1 car, but then McMurray would chase him back down. So that caution flag, that last one, that really sealed the deal for Kurt Busch. That was a perfect time for him to get the 4 tires, get out front, and get gone. He did. Great win for Penske, but it was good to see that Chip made it back from Indy in time to watch his car at least finish 2nd.
Yeah, and when he got back and got up on that pit box, Jamie Mack got up on the wheel.
He picked up 2 tenths. I mean, just like that.
Larry, strategy always plays so much into these races, but I found it very interesting that the last caution flag, the 3 cars at the front of the field that stayed out, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, and Ryan Newman, were all rewarded for doing so instead of penalized.
Yeah, that was 3 cars that had struggled, even running in the top 15. You know, you look at Ryan Newman, our pole sitter. He led the first 11 laps, and then he fell way off the map right there. But, yeah, it was those guys had about 20 laps on their tires. And you know what? To me, Darrell and I talked about it. It was a no-brainer because if you follow the leaders, you'll follow the leaders. So I felt like it was a great call by those guys. And by those guys doing that, they came home with a top 10 finish each, and that puts Ryan Newman back in the top 12 in points.
Finally, Kyle Busch on restarts would do whatever it took and go wherever he needed to. Usually that was straight up the middle. Boy, Jeff Burton was not happy about it.
Yeah, but, I think if Jeff looks at the replay, he was talking about 3 wide on a restart. That's normal. And, Kyle was right. He had the 33 down below him. He couldn't go any lower, and Burton was up to his outside. His splitter made a little contact with the left rear, cut Burton's left rear down. And I know Burton was upset because he had a great run all night long, but great recovery for Kyle Busch, too. So those restarts are wild and crazy. You just better hold on to your helmet.
And, one team I want to give a call to because, they started the season off so strong and then they kind of fell off. Slugger Labby, Paul Menard, and that 98 team had a great run last week. They turned that race car around after finishing 4th in the showdown. They came here. They ran right up there in the top 10, top 15 most of the night. Good, solid pit stops. They get another top 10 finish.
And I tell you, I said that Joey Logano would make the top 12 and make the chase. I don't know if maybe I ought to reconsider it. Maybe Jamie McMurray,
well,
the way he's running, could have a good shot at it, too.
But, JR, there was only one thing wrong with tonight's race. We don't get to come back next week.
No.
You do.
Relief
Have
driver.
fun.
Mike, thanks a lot. We enjoyed it. We appreciate all the great coverage from you guys. When we come back, a very happy Kurt Busch will join us here on NASCAR Victory Lane, fueled by Sunoco. Welcome back, everyone, to NASCAR Victory Lane on speed, fueled by Sunoco, coming to you after the longest race on the Sprint Cup schedule. And you might expect somebody to dominate a short race, maybe a 300, 400, 500 miler, but you don't normally expect somebody to dominate a race that is this long. But that's exactly what Kurt Busch and the number 2 team did, and we want to congratulate you, Kurt, on absolutely, first of all, awesome race, but also awesome week here. You started off with the All-Star race, but that had to give you guys a lot of confidence coming into this thing.
It did. It was awesome to win last Saturday night and just have a whole different setup in the car, and I hope this bodes well for us for the future. I can't say enough for my guys. They stepped it up on that last run. But all day long, we were there. We had a good gap on the field, and then McMurray shows up at the end. And it's just like, you start to hear things in the car, or, the handling's starting to go away, but we still had a gap on the rest of the pack. McMurray really made us fight for that.
You know, and you talk about your guys. How important was that last stop? I mean, because McMurray had run you down and passed you. You knew getting off pit road. How important was that for you?
Yeah, I felt like we needed that caution, and it worked out just perfect because the way that Jeff Gordon stayed out, Ryan Newman stayed out, Mark Martin, that put us fourth. I love the outside here at Charlotte on those restarts. When things go your way, they just fall your way. It's like playing poker. You get a hand and you're sitting there, somebody gives you an ante or a raise, and you just know exactly what to do. And my team gave me that confidence. I'm so proud of this Miller Lite Dodge team. And to bring it home for Penske, you know, he was up in Indy today and didn't win the Indy 500, and I was racing that Ganassi car. Here in the 600, there was no way I was going to let Ganassi get a sweep today. So I pulled it through for Roger.
You know what? This is, to me, just like a career week for you. I mean, you're a great race car driver. You're a champion driver. But, I mean, it's like you're back by popular demand. I mean, you're crew chief and you this year. I mean, you're on it.
Well, Steve's awesome. I mean, Steve and Dave Winston, my two main guys. It's like I have two crew chiefs running the show, and their combination of smarts, I don't know what it is. And we found it last week. We had it again this week. I just hope that it goes to Pocono, and it goes to Michigan, it goes to Sonoma with us. But most importantly, it's just the fact of when you're sitting there racing hard every week and you tell them that you need a little bit more turn, a little bit more handling here, and they give it to you, and you get more speed, and it just gives me the confidence to know that, hey, we're doing this right and things are going our way.
I never heard that name. What was that guy's name that works with
Dave Winston.
Is he an engineer?
Yeah, he's our lead engineer for our team. And
good combination.
I almost made him crew chief, and we saw that Steve Addington was available, so that's why these two guys are so potent.
Awesome.
Yeah, you know, earlier in the year we interviewed you at Atlanta, okay, and then obviously here, I guess, the other night. But I'm going to tell you, this is a 600-mile race. You seem a little out of breath and a little spent right now. How hard is this race? Explain to people how hard it is.
It's just unbelievable. The mental part of it, the physical part of it, just the demons that start showing up inside the car. Even though we had a little bit of a gap, I just wanted to keep protecting the race car and make sure I kept it off the fence, unlike last week, and just racing lap after lap. Then you see you cross the line at lap 325, and it kind of hits you hard. That was flat marker 500, or 5 mile marker 500. It's like, man, I still got 100 to go. What do you mean? And that's when everything starts going different and haywire.
I don't think he's wore out from the race. I think you're wore out from celebrating so hard.
That's true. That's true, too.
That
was pretty impressive.
That
was impressive with the champagne.
That will help in a month. We are going to the convenience store and grabbing Miller Lights on the way home. That's for sure.
That was impressive.
Hey, Kurt, you didn't have this kind of thing with Penske when you started out there. You know, from the outside looking in, it seemed like you were kind of unhappy there. The team wasn't gelling. How did you get through that time to get to here to the good times?
Oh, man, it's just been a fight, but yet it's been a battle of good, all within the program. Tim Cindric is our president. He's our leader. Everybody in every department, and especially a guy named Tom German came aboard and really turned our stuff around. Aerodynamics, engine shop, those guys were awesome. You name it. You gotta have every piece of the puzzle. You can't have a weak area.
So it's time to have fun now, and everybody will pick up the newspaper tomorrow, and they'll go, man, Kurt Busch won this. Then they'll add up next week. You've hauled about $1.4 million out of this place. What are you going to do with all that money?
I got to spend it before my wife does. No, she's great. I love her. And, you know, hopefully it'll say Vortex Weekend. And that's because of Miller Lite Vortex bottle. Miller Lite tastes better coming out of that bad boy. They're a great sponsor, you know, and it's just awesome to have them aboard.
Okay, now I got to tell you, we talked a little bit during the All-Star race about the burnout competition. That was a Vortex burnout out there. That was pretty cool, man.
Trying to spin around as fast as I could, burning that thing up. I mean, and then I learned I drove backwards too fast this time because it overheated.
Hey, you did overheat.
That's impressive right there. The burnout was impressive. Through the Coca-Cola sign, throw the window net down. Give me a little bit right there.
When you came into victory lane, you were overheating so bad.
What are those red wheels on there? Look at that.
Yeah.
Where'd that come wheels from the 12 car.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a 600.
Hey, they worked. Hey, man, team effort. Team effort.
That's great.
How about that? He didn't know he had red wheels. I love that.
I don't know. How would you know?
I know. You can't see from inside.
Kurt, you're now in some pretty elite company. Only 7 drivers have made this sweep, a sweep in the All-Star race and the Coke 600. Let's take a look at some of the names you're now up there with, and they're some of the best in the business. Darrell Waltrip did it in '85, Davey Allison, Earnhardt, Gordon, Johnson, Casey Kane, and now in 2010, Kurt Busch. So congratulations on being up there, and I think you have this drilled down by now. Our fine friends at Sunoco want you to sign a flag, and also Kyle's got a ring for you too.
Yeah,
we got all kind of gifts.
I got
here.
this, man.
Here's a pen.
We got this. Yeah, here, you do that. And here's the deal. The last guy I gave a ring to, not that I give rings to guys. Let me be real clear.
Oh, do you accept?
Get down on one knee.
The last guy I gave a ring to was at the Hall of Fame the other day. It was the King. So
that's pretty
here
special.
you go, man.
Congratulations, Kurt. Great job on a 2-weekend sweep. Keep up the good work.
Wow.
Thank you, guys.
Each week here on NASCAR Victory Lane, fueled by Sunoco, one lucky fan will receive a Sunoco checkered flag autographed by the winner of the race. Enter online at speedtv.com. Keyword Sunoco to win the flag that Kurt Busch just signed. And keep it right here. We'll be back to speed in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone, to Victory Lane at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where after a dominating performance, the two-team is celebrating for the second time in 2 weeks. You know, they call certain races a driver's race to win, and certain races a team's race to win. And when you race 600 miles, it takes everybody to win. Crew Chief Steve Addington was the one who had to make all the calls. And, Steve, I think this one really is a team win because of the number of pit stops and what you have to do as a crew chief making the calls throughout the night.
It is really big. The guys busted off a heck of a right side pit stop right there. And I knew that I watched the right front tire changer, and I said he's going to lose some feet if he's not out of the way, because I was telling him to go. I knew that the one car, Jamie and the guys were awesome. We were running the same lap times, and whoever was out front was going to win this race. And whoever won the race off pit road was going to be the winner of the race, I felt like. And I told we were going for it.
They just barely made it out of the way. We just saw it.
Yeah, so he got out of the way, and we beat the one off pit road, and I thought that was the turning point of us winning the race versus the one.
Yeah, we just talked to Kurt about that. And you know, he said, oh, my crew did this and my crew did that. And I said, what about that last pit stop? He's got more confidence in you guys now than I've heard out of Kurt Busch for a team in the last 2 years of him driving. How important is that?
It's big. We came over here and tested for 2 days, and he is like the worst 2 days of my life in a race car. And I went back and I thought about that for a little while, and I sat down with Dave Winston, and I was like, if we go back over there just like we went over there to the test, we're going to be terrible. So we changed some stuff up to some stuff that I had done in the past with the front end stuff, and we came over here and it was just like, let's run the all-star race with it and see if we need to head in this direction. And it's got some of the stuff that I brought to the table and some setup stuff that Penske had, and it worked last weekend. So we went back with this new car and threw it at it, and we unloaded, and it was good. And I was like wiping my forehead because it was like we went out on a limb with this because it was totally different, and it worked for us.
Steve, the fans watched the race and they want to know the simplest thing, and Kurt brought it up. You were taking yellow wheels off, putting red wheels on. I mean, what was going on? Were you stealing tires from your team? What was that all about tonight?
Well, the way these cars are, it's crazy that the little stuff that you change, it makes such a big difference, especially with our stuff, with what we're doing. And I was sitting there, I said, we need to keep the stagger the same. And the next set wasn't the same as what we had on the car when we were the best. So I sent them down there to the 77 car, and I said, if they've got this stagger and the tire rates and stuff, I said, bring that set up here, and this is what we're going to keep on the car to keep the balance of the car the same.
And that's so important. Sometimes people think that's just paint and things like that. I'm glad you explained it. I mean, that can make your night or it can ruin your night.
Yes, and we had gotten free off all night long, and I was like, man, our next set has a ton more stagger than that set that's on the car, and I had to get it off. I had to do something to make a shuffle there to keep us in the ball game, and we sent them down there, and I appreciate Travis and the guys giving up a set.
A good crew chief.
You know, on a race like this, and you led the first 100 laps. You guys were almost at every 100 lap marker. We talked to Kurt. We're the leaders. You know, when you looked at it, what happened? Were you a little bit off with the Jamie deal, or did Jamie come out of the pack to catch you guys?
I kept watching him. Jamie just kind of he did an awesome job all night long because he was fast from the start of the race, and they kept adjusting on their car and getting it better. And I was like, that one car is the one we're going to have to race to win this race. I looked at it one time, and it was the one car and in his lap times, and I looked at Jeff Burton. I thought that he would come on. I don't know what happened to them at the end, but I was looking at him in the 31, and Jamie was coming, and I knew it, and I was like, we can match him for lap times, but I don't know how we're going to get any better. And Kurt's like, I don't know what to tell you. So we just had to try to keep our car with that speed in it and race him. And like I say, it was winning the race off pit road, won us the race.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Steve, congratulations on a great team.
Thank you, guys.
Keep up the good work.
Definitely.
I appreciate it.
All right, we got a program reminder here for you. The Camping World Truck Series is going into the Lone Star State of Texas, and we're there for a gunslinging, wheel-to-wheel, Wild West shootout. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Texas Friday at 8:30 Eastern, only on Speed. Welcome back, everyone, to Charlotte Motor Speedway. It was Kurt Busch that got the victory tonight, but a close second by Jamie McMurray was sort of a little bit of a flashback to his first win ever came at this racetrack. And if he could have pulled off the victory, it would have been a huge double for his car owner, Chip Ganassi. With more on that, here's Bob Dillner.
Close but no cigar for Jamie McMurray tonight in the 600, trying to get another win here at this race, but so close you could probably smell it, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if the caution doesn't come out at the end, you know, we had a pretty good lead, and our car was so fast when the tires would get 15 or 20 laps on them that I'd really only drive about 90%, and they were reading my lap times off and what Kurt was running, and I couldn't believe the speed that our car had in it. Honestly, it's probably the best driving car that I've ever sat in. I couldn't believe the speed that it had with the amount of effort that I was putting into it. So we did a really good job, and Bono and all the guys on the team, I didn't think we had a very good car last night or yesterday, and they did a great job making the adjustments, and it's a really good time to be a part of this race team. We've had just cars that are capable of winning every week, and that's tough to get.
How hard were you pushing it there to try to catch the two in the closing laps?
Well, I mean, I was driving all I could. The harder I drove, the slower my. I mean, there was a point where I was overdriving the car, and it was slamming down the bump stops, and it would wash up in the middle. And Kurt, the last like 5 laps, was struggling. I could see him not being able to get to the bottom and wiggling around, and I was like, it's going to be close. I believe I'm able to get to him, and it just not enough time.
Jamie O'Brien's rolls in the last few races, but remember, he won race number 1 on the season, Daytona 500.
The biggest thing I have to say about that great interview is I was not driving hard, and the car was just going fast. How many times those race car drivers drive it in there, get it sideways off the corner? Here's Jamie McMurray saying it was the best race car I ever sat in, and I wasn't even driving hard. Let that be a lesson to good race car drivers. Get your car handling, and you don't got to drive like a wild man and spin out and wreck. Good job, Jamie McMurray.
Great job by that team to do what they did today, also at the Indy 500 as well. And we got another chance for Chip Ganassi to get another trophy. Tomorrow, the Rolex Sports Car Series is celebrating the holiday with fender-banging fireworks when Pruitt and Rojas fight to set a record with 4 consecutive Daytona prototype wins in a row. Don't miss the Rolex Sports Car Series live from Lime Rock, only on Speed. The Prelude to the Dream Countdown show is on Speed. It's Wednesday, June 9th at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. That's Tony Stewart's event at Eldora. And also, Indy 500 winner Dario Franchitti has a standing invitation to the Prelude to the Dream. Don't know if he's going to accept that or not. And I'm saying this just for my buddy Kenny Wallace because he can't say it to take him too long. But he's going to be racing at Macon, Illinois tomorrow on dirt. So there, I said it. Now, a lot of controversy going on after this race in between Jeff Burton and Kyle Busch. Earlier in the show, we heard Kyle's side to the story. Let's now hear from Jeff Burton.
Oh, well, I mean, that's, you know, you run 385 laps or whatever, and you know, run top 7 all night long and finish 26th or 25th. I mean, it's really frustrating. We're racing to get ourselves in a chase. We're racing to try to win a championship, and you know, that stuff's gonna happen to everybody. It happens to everybody. It's real frustrating when somebody does it to you. I've made mistakes in running to people and caused them problems too, and you know, and everybody makes mistakes. I probably overreacted a little bit, but you know, like I said, he made a real aggressive move, and I paid the price for it, and I didn't like it.
And that is the raw emotion you see after a race, especially after a 600-mile race. And you guys have both been there before. It's after a race, you're angry. Emotions are high.
And I think for Jeff, yeah, he's angry. He's angry for exactly what he said. We had a top 7 car. We finished 29th. Also, there's a ton of frustration there, okay? And I think it's a lot more frustration speaking for Jeff because Jeff's a mature driver. He understands that things like that. You hear him say, I've done it. Things have happened. That's the way it is. He's frustrated because he's run so well to not have good finishes. And he's going to have those finishes. He's going to win races, but he's frustrated tonight.
Well, Monday may be a holiday this week, but the boys back at the shop at Speed are working hard for you. Monday night, Speed's primetime lineup is must-see TV with NASCAR Race Hub, presented by Hooters, Ultimate Factories, and Fast Track to Fame. The fun begins Monday night at 7:30 Eastern, only on Speed.
NASCAR Victory Lane is fueled by Sunoco, the official fuel of NASCAR. Put the fuel of NASCAR in your car. And brought to you in part by Comfort Inn. After a long day of vacation, relax with Comfort Inn.
Well, it was 1 day less than 1 year ago at this race that David Reutimann was celebrating his first victory because it took us 2 days to get it done because of the rain. But David Reutimann again is celebrating tonight after a great top 5 finish. Wasn't a win, but still a very respectable run for the 00. Let's go back to Bob.
David Reutimann stuck around the top 5 just about all race. You happy with this result, David?
Yeah, I am. I mean, you always want a little more, but my guys did a great job. We had a great Aaron String machine all day, and Aaron's just putting $20,000 to the Armed Forces Foundation, for our top 5 finish. So that's a good thing too. So all in all, I don't think we had a car that was out of the top 5 today. I'm proud of our team. That's the way we should run, and that's the way we're capable of running. We just had some bad stuff happen, and it's kind of messed us up a little bit earlier in the year. But all in all, it's great to be able to start fighting back and get the finishes I think this team deserves.
What did you need for just a little bit more to be able to contend with the 2 and the 1?
Yeah, we just we fought being tight a little bit in the center, and we just never could quite get it to cut the center like we needed to, and just a little bit off. And all you have to do is just be a little bit off to not be able to get to where those guys. And sometimes we catch them in a long run, and then we just seem like maybe one adjustment behind a little bit. But my guys did a great job. I'm proud of everybody. Rodney Childers and everybody really did a good job. Had a great call all day, and we just move on and go to the next one.
2 top 5s in the last couple of races for David Reutimann.
And Michael Waltrip Racing again this year is one of those great stories because we all know how they started out, but right now they got Martin Truex Jr. running great, David Reutimann running great as well, and that's a very young team.
Well, first thing I have to say about this is, this was a retribution race for this car, David Reutimann. He won the Coke 600 last year, Kyle. He was running 15th. He stayed out, so everybody's like, well, David Reutimann, you won under a rain delay. This race proved that he deserved that win last year. I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah, but you know what I've noticed here? We've interviewed David. We've interviewed 2 or 3 guys. We've interviewed some of these guys. Look how worn out these guys are. I mean, these guys, when you look in their eyes are sunk in their heads. You look at a 500-mile race, that last 100 laps is tough on these guys.
Hey, and the man, David Reutimann, is 40 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's old. He's an old guy.
He's done. He's done. He's done.
These guys are in great shape. They can take him. We saw a great race tonight that was eventually won by Kurt Busch, who made the 2-weekend sweep of the Charlotte Motor Speedway with the All-Star race and the Coke 600. We are now halfway to the cutoff for the chase for the Cup, and we want to remind you guys to tune into Lime Rock tomorrow and see some Rolex sports cars. And right now, let us take a look in the rearview mirror.